Indeed, it may never be, and he might do it again today. Alpha, Grand Master, they can both win the Melbourne Cup. In fact, it's such an open race. Well, they might not see the Melbourne Cup. Bit conked out on champers, perhaps, just having a little rest before the Cup. Gee, the big crowd here, as there always is. It's just a tribute to the people of Melbourne and all around Australia. You run into people from Western Australia and from New Zealand, all here for the Melbourne Cup. There's a lad with his parka on. Is a bit cool today, but that just makes it nice and comfortable, particularly for the horses. And as always, a good time is had by all. Folks, it's just over an hour to the Melbourne Cup. There you go, an hour and 4 minutes or so to the Melbourne Cup of 1997. But there's one before that. It is the Great Western. And for the first time, I say good afternoon to Pete Donegan.
Thank you, Tim. Good afternoon to you, and good to see you in the studio there and enjoying yourself out and about on Foster's Melbourne Cup Day as we are down here. And you spoke about the crowd, Tim. The crush around the mounting yard is quite extraordinary at the moment. I think it's one of the biggest crowds I've seen for a while, Jen.
It's an enormous crowd. In fact, the sun is trying very hard to come out. I think it's going to be magnificent when the race is run.
Well, the Great Western
Cup horses we've seen for quite a few years. You've got the two English horses, very unknown to us here in Australia, but very competent in Europe, and been very successful in Europe. And you could hardly say sort of, even though you've got horses like Crying Game, Perth Cup winner a couple of years ago, very, very impressive. Might and Power, the best Caulfield Cup winner we've seen in, well, ever so far.
Well, that's exactly right. Record time. And I suppose, and Jenny Chapman talking to me this morning, you just don't know if he's going to do it again. He's got another 800 metres and 3 kilos.
That's
so can he produce a run like that? Well, if he does, we've got a champion on our hands.
If he does, he's a modern day champion. I don't think he can personally. I don't think he'll stay the distance. A lot of horses can win over 2,400 metres in that style of racing. Some can even get 2,800 metres in that style of racing, but very few can get 3,200 metres. They have to relax, they have to drop the bit, and they have to settle.
Yeah, well, it's a very interesting Melbourne Cup, and I think just about everybody agrees with that. Let's have a look at the finish of last year's magnificent win by Saintly in the Melbourne Cup as we take a break.
Then Super Smooth followed by Senator running on. Oscar Schindler struggling. Saintly hit the lead in the Melbourne Cup. He drew a length in front of Nothing Like a Day in Camp Shivers. Skyboy running on. Saintly in front for Darren Beedman. Bart Cummings has got his 10th Melbourne Cup. Saintly's going to win the Melbourne Cup for Darren Beedman and Bart Cummings. Saintly first. Second placing goes to Count Shivers.
Something is happening to the people of Sydney.
Oh, can you feel it?
Welcome to Melbourne and Flemington, Australia's international racecourse on another fabulous Tuesday. That's right, it is the traditional first Tuesday in November, and this is the 137th running of the Melbourne Cup. Yes, the annual influx of visitors, the best horse flesh from here and right around the world. They are all here for this first Tuesday in November, the Melbourne Cup, the pinnacle of the Australian racing calendar. Melbourne Cup Day 1997. In just under 20 minutes, the gates will open to a huge roar from the crowd of nearly 100,000 people at least. Can Doremus do it again? Will it be Ebony Grove? Could it be the Queen's Horse, Arabian Story? Or will 10-time winning Cup trainer Bart Cummings make it 11 with either Alpha or Grand Master? Then again, it could be another breathtaking performance from Caulfield Cup winner Might and Power, and he is bursting out of his saddle. One thing's for sure, well over 500 million television viewers from around the globe are focusing on this unique handicap race. This is the Foster's Melbourne Cup. With the horses in the mounting yard preparing to take to the track, let's join our experts for the very last word. Good afternoon, Peter Donegan and Jenny Chapman.
Thank you, Tim Webster, and good afternoon, everyone, wherever you may be watching around the world. The roar goes up, the roulettes, the flying squad are overhead. The atmosphere is electric before the Melbourne Cup, as it has been for its 136 prior runnings, Jen.
Everyone is an absolute buzz here in Melbourne at Flemington today, and it's just wonderful. The sun has come out. It's just perfect.
22 runners in this year's Foster's Melbourne Cup, and as I said, we are being watched around the world by many people in many countries. I know at the Australian Embassy in Washington. They're watching our live telecast today, and they'll be pretty pleased with what they see. Flemington looks superb, and so too do these 22 horses. There is a huge crush in the mounting yard. One or two of the horses just getting up on the toes a little bit. I noticed Harbour Dews was up on his toes. But now let's run through the runners in the Foster's Melbourne Cup of 1997. And we begin with number 1, Count Chivas, to be ridden by Danny Brereton. Simon Morris is the trainer. He'll start from barrier number 21. The last time the number 1 Saddlecloth won was in 1954 with Rising Fast.
He ran second to Saintly last year as a very good effort and a fabulous ride when he was ridden by Stephen King. He's a Sydney Cup winner over the 3,200 metres. His form leading into the Melbourne Cup this year has been a little bit indifferent, although his run in the Caulfield Cup wasn't too bad. You can't rule him out. He is a proven stayer.
2 years ago, this wonderful horse enjoyed his moment in the sun. Number 2, Doremus. Greg Hall, his jockey, became a father for the second time yesterday. Lee Friedman knows what it's like to win a Melbourne Cup. 4 horses have won the Melbourne Cup twice. Only one of them has won 2 years apart. That was Peter Pan back in the 1930s.
Absolutely, and he is a Caulfield and Melbourne Cup winner. That was in 1995. He put up a terrific performance in this year's Caulfield Cup, and last year's performance in the Melbourne Cup was also very, very good. He was quite unlucky there. He appears to be exactly spot on for his third tackle at the Melbourne Cup. A great race jockey and Greg Hall on board. He's a great chance.
Might and Power, you can see, is on his toes there in the mounting yard. The Caulfield Cup winner, to be ridden by Jim Cassidy and trained by Jack Denham. Incredible in the Caulfield Cup. 9 horses have completed the double. Will it be number 10?
Well, it was the most amazing Caulfield Cup win I have ever seen. Might and Power just destroyed the opposition there. Here he is. It's his third staying race today in the AJC Derby. He was desperately unlucky. He possibly should have won that as well. Will he make the distance? I'm not sure, but if he does, he's our new champion.
Number 4 is the New Zealander Sapio. Danny Nikolic, the rider. Sylvia Kay, the trainer. It carries the most successful saddlecloth in Melbourne Cup history. Number 4 has won this race 11 times, and he's the most experienced in the field of 3,200 metres.
Yes, and he finished 8th behind Saintly in last year's Melbourne Cup. I thought it was a fair effort on that occasion. He won the New Zealand Cup in 1995. You know he will stay the difference, but he's not getting any younger. He's now a 7-year-old. I'll give him a place chance.
Another horse that started in the Melbourne Cup last year, number 5, Court of Honour, finished 20th of 22. He's now trained by Peter Hayes to be ridden by Brent Thompson. Last year he finished 13 lengths from the winner.
Yes, his last start was in the Moonee Valley Cup, in which he won. That was over 2,500 metres. Quite a nice effort there. This horse did have some good long-staying distance form in the UK prior to coming here, but I just wonder whether or not he's well off at the weights. I don't think he is at 55.
Another Kiwi, number 6, Viali, originally from Ireland, is to be ridden by Brian York for Paul O'Sullivan. He has to overcome a hoodoo. No horse has ever won the Melbourne Cup from gate 18.
Well, he's a lightly raced 7-year-old, this fellow. He showed his class really in the Cox Plate at his last outing. He's only had the 2 runs in, but I believe he's been very well prepared by his trainer, Paul O'Sullivan. Slight query over him over the 3,200, but he's there with a place chance.
Is there an omen here for number 7, Alpha, trained by Bart Cummings, ridden by Darren Beedman? He has the most successful barrier in Cup history. Barrier 11 has won the race 6 times. Bart Cummings going for win number 11.
Well, you can never underestimate Bart Cummings and Darren Beedman. That combination is just too good. This horse was an outstanding 3-year-old. He did suffer a tendon injury. He's come back. His form hasn't been top class this time in, but I know that Bart is very pleased with his progression. A staying query for sure in this race, but maybe a place chance.
Number 8 is Ebony Grove. The rider is Shane Dye. He's declared this horse the best horse in Australia. The last horse to come from gate 22 in a field of 22, Belldale Ball in 1980.
I don't think the barrier will worry him too much. He's a horse that does like to get back in his races. He was a winner here on Saturday in the McKinnon over 2,000 metres. It was a great effort. He charged home along the best part of the track on that occasion. He's got some good speed in this race. That will suit him. He'll be charging home. The eyes of the mother country are focused aboard this horse, number 9, Arabian Story, to be ridden by the world's premier jockey, Frankie Dettori, for Lord Huntington, and raced by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. The Greys to have won the race: Sub-Zero, Silver Knight, Baghdad Note, Haraji. Can Arabian Story make it 5? Quite possibly on his last run, Peter. It was an excellent effort in a very good field. Posidonis, our overseas visitors or guests would know these horses. Posidonis, Swain, Clerkenwell. That was a good effort. He's a horse on the way up. He's only lightly raced, had the 13 starts. And Frankie Dettori de Rye, well, he always helps with these horses. He'll put a few lengths on them.
10 is Harbour Dews, the rider here, Ray Cochrane for Lady Harry's. This horse beat Arabian Story by a neck in the Scandinavian in August, and Jen, it was the same time as the Caulfield Cup, 2:26.2.
Yes, I think you have to take note of that because we're giving Might and Power a very good chance in the Melbourne Cup this year, and the fact that this horse ran the same time must put him in there. He's lightly raced as well. Hard to line up his form, but I'd respect the time that he ran last time.
The stallion number 11, Always Aloof, Stephen King rides for Lee Freedman. The last 7-year-old to win the Melbourne Cup was back in 93. It was vintage crop, and only 8 times have 7-year-olds been successful.
Yes, he's been taken along slowly. He's only had the 25 runs, this horse, and he's a 7-year-old stallion. His form in the UK prior to coming here was excellent, and I've got to say that he must be considered a strong chance. His form before the Caulfield Cup was excellent, and if you can forgive him for one bad run, he's right in it.
Number 12, Magnet Bay, to be ridden by Chris Johnson. Danny Fry is the rider, and he carries the second most successful saddlecloth in Melbourne Cup history with 10 wins.
This is a horse that really does like the wet tracks. His form is excellent on wet tracks, but he hasn't got that here today. The track is in perfect condition. He had the run of the race in the McKinnon Stakes on Saturday, and I just doubt if he's quite up to these.
Is it going to be lucky number 13 for Skybow? Dwayne Dunn is the rider. Veteran trainer Len Smith from Adelaide. The last time number 13 won the Melbourne Cup, what a nuisance, back in 1985. Before that, it was the 3-year-old Skipton in 1941.
And his trainer has brought him along exactly the same as he did last year. Nice and steady. He's been racing extremely well. He's going to appreciate the pace on in this race. He'll get back in this, but watch him to be charging home towards the end of this. He's a definite chance in the race.
Can the First Lady of Australian Racing create history in the Melbourne Cup? Number 14, Linesman, Larry Cassidy, the rider. Gay Waterhouse, the trainer. Can she become the first female trainer to officially win the great race?
Well, he was super impressive in this year's Sydney Cup, I thought. Peter absolutely blitzed the opposition on that occasion. He's a very gutsy, on-pace stayer. You know that he's going to be up there. He'll give his best. When you think he's gone, he finds something else. And I think that Gay has an excellent chance of picking up her first Melbourne Cup. 15,
Marble Halls, has a lot going for him. He's to be ridden by Damien Oliver. He's trained by Lee Freedman. He's got barrier number 5, and he's the best age to win the Cup. 4-year-olds have won it more than any other age.
Yes, a nice young horse and a terrific run in the McKinnon Stakes on Saturday. Just in behind the place getters there, he finished 4th. Australia's top jockey on board, Damien Oliver, 52.5 kilos. All's going well for him, and he's a strong chance.
It's a big moment for 28-year-old trainer Cliff Brown, who saddles up Markham to be ridden by Mick Dittman. The last time barrier number 7 successful in a Melbourne Cup was back in 1981 with Just a Dash.
He put in a terrific effort in the Caulfield Cup. It was he was running on towards the end. In fact, he made up a fair deal of ground on that occasion. His last run, well, that was on Saturday in the McKinnon over the 2,000 metres. Exactly what you'd expect him to do. I don't think he's the roughest in this race by any means, and of course very experienced jockey in Mick Dittman on board.
Jen, one of the roughest is number 17, Scrupulous, Michael Carson, the rider for trainer Jim Smith. He's the 95 Adelaide Cup winner, but as you can see, he's at huge odds.
Yes, he ran last in the Lin Cuisine on Saturday, on Derby Day, of course. Prior to that, he was a little bit unlucky in the Geelong Cup, but it's a very tough assignment for Scrupulous here, and it does look a task for him. I'm not keen.
A former Perth Cup winner, number 18, Crying Game. Greg Childs rides here for Angela Johnson, and only Sapio and Yobro have had more starts than this fellow.
Yes, he's a Perth Cup winner in 1996. He ran 7th on Saturday over the 2,500. Normally this horse does like to lead. On Saturday he didn't lead. I wonder whether or not they'll try to do that with him today, because that's when he does race best. I still think it's going to be a tough task for him here, though.
Grant Cooksley is the rider of 19, Yobro. Kirk Roberts, the trainer. He was placed in the Grosby Gold Cup, formerly the Moonee Valley Cup, the last Moonee Valley Cup place getter to win the Melbourne Cup, Kingston Rule in 1990.
I think he's got a rough chance in the race, Peter. Nicely weighted here with 52 kilos. He's guaranteed to run out the distance, and he's at pretty good odds.
20, Bonsai Pipeline, to be ridden by Darren Gauci for Robert Thomas. The last Perrier Stakes winner to win the Melbourne Cup, R1, back in 1978.
Well, he ran 2nd in the New Zealand and Wellington Cup, so he can run these distances out okay, but I just think he's outclassed in this field.
21, Grand Master for Len Beasley. Trainer Bart Cummings carries the least successful saddlecloth, only 1 win, Battalion in 1923, but he's got the polish of the master.
That's true, and only 49.5 kilos on his back. He ran 2nd on Saturday. I thought he had every chance to win. I would have liked to seen him get to the line a little bit stronger than he did. No weight, maybe a place chance at best for him.
And finally, 22 Sunny Lane, Brent Stanley, the rider for Charlie Goggin, the last horse to carry the bottom saddlecloth to win, 1916 Sassanov.
And the only mare in the race too, so we wish her well. The Werribee Cup winner, she's a very, very consistent country cup sort of horse. I just think it's going to be a little bit tough for her here today. I'd be surprised if she's strong enough.
Jen, the sun is shining on us. Sum it up with your selections for the Foster's Melbourne Cup.
Well, I'm going with Lee Friedman with one of his horses in this race. Number 11, Always Aloof, from number 3, Might and Power, and number 2, Doremus.
And my selection is number 2, Doremus, to create a little bit of history, to beat number 3, Might and Power, and 8, Ebony Grove. And my outsider is number 9, Arabian Story. There you see the tote call. All of the field of 22 with supporters around Australia and indeed around the world. And the best supported of those, Grandmaster, round about the 20-1 mark. But, of course, as well as the tote, we also have the bookmakers. There's been a flurry of activity in the last few minutes. To tell us all about it, Tim Gossage.
Some bookmakers simply won't be able to stand up after this race if Might and Power wins the Melbourne Cup. One of Australia's richest men has absolutely offloaded on Might and Power. Some bookmakers have not laid Might and Power in the last 25 minutes. They simply are going to be reeling if Might and Power wins the Cup. It is the standout favourite. Ebony Grove, Doremus, Marble Halls, no money for the overseas campaigners, Arabian Story and Harbour Juice. A huge go, Might and Power.
Well, I wonder if the connections of Might and Power will be holding this famous trophy in about 10 or 15 minutes' time. It is the most famous trophy in all of Australian sport, the Foster's Melbourne Cup. 22 noble thoroughbreds about to run for it. And we'll be back on the other side of this break to watch them do just that at fabulous Flemington.
You have over 10,000 taste buds. Fortunately, Lean Cuisine has consulted every single one of them. You've got to listen to your taste buds. Lean Cuisine. It's not just lean, it's...
Tuesday, November 3rd, 1896. For the first time in history, the Melbourne Cup appears on moving pictures. It is now recognised as the oldest known surviving piece of Australian film. It captured Newhaven, galloping to an historic win. Over a century later, enjoy the race that stops a nation with a beer brewed as then from only the finest malt and hops. Foster's Lager, proud to bring you the 1997 Foster's Melbourne Cup.
They're ready now for the Foster's Melbourne Cup.
Bars, clubs, restaurants. This is the Melbourne Cup. Clutch that betting ticket and the arm of the person next to you. Peter Donegan, we're stopped and ready to go.
We are, Tim, and they'll start at the 900-metre mark here. There is Doremus. He's used to this scene. He's run in the Melbourne Cup the last 2 years. In 1995, he won it. Starting at the 900 metres mark, a long straight run, and then they'll come down to the judge to the roars of the crowd, and one lap later, one name will be etched in history. A man who's already etched his name in history, champion jockey Roy Higgins. As we look at our selections, Always Aloof, Marble Halls, Alpha, Doremus. Roy Higgins, you've won the Cup twice. What did you like?
I've gone with a Lee Friedman to run the Cornella in 15 Marble Halls and 2 Doremus. Now, that's a big statement because Jenny Chapman's tipped him to Always Aloof, which is his third runner. I did like the look of Ebony Grove and Alpha, so good luck.
Good luck to you too, Roy. Roy Higgins, champion jockey, and now from Sport 927. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the nation is now officially at a standstill for a horse race. But not just any horse race, it's the Foster's Melbourne Cup. They're running it for the 137th time, and to call it, Dan Malicki, with him, former champion jockey Gary Willis.
Well, the atmosphere certainly built up here, Peter. You can hear it even coming up here. But, oh, gee, these horses look well, might and power. There's just that query, I think, that they hasn't stopped anyone backing him in the ring. But he is certainly looks the part. He's had come up the straight. He looked beautiful doing his preliminary. The other horse I thought looked very well was Ebony Grove. He was nice and relaxed, very cool. The two visitors, Arabian Story, Harbour Jews, both looked very well. Skybow, always aloof, you can just keep naming them. There is Ebony Grove on camera there. Oh, Count Shivers just went past him then. But by gee, it's hard to stab one right on the dot, isn't it, Dan?
I was impressed by the two English horses, particularly Harbour Jews. He looked fantastic. And the grey Arabian Story, which will be very easily identified. It's the only grey in the field, Gary. And the last couple are moving into line. Count Shivers to go up. Might and Power will run the favourite. Currently $5.80 for the win.
We just need to get that bit of cover for the first half mile of the race, I think, Dan, for Might and Power to win it.
And Ebony Grove about to come up, starting from the outside barrier, number 22.
It was a beautiful relaxed horse, Ebony Grove.
And he'll come up to the outside gate. All set to go, the 1997 Foster's Melbourne Cup. And they're ready for a start now. Away they go. The gates have crashed back and the big one is underway. Ebony Grove immediately snagged back to the tail of the field with Count Shivers. Might and Power, one of the best to jump away with Marble Halls. Magnet Bay, Crying Game was up there in the early part. Likewise, Court of Honour. A little further out to Viali, and also Sunny Lane's going forward early. Linesman's a bit wide about midfield at the moment, but it is going forward in the race. Always Aloof was midfield. Wider out then was Sapio. Scrupulous getting back with Skybow along the inside of Doremus, and Ebony Grove is 2 lengths away at the tail as they come down the straight the first time, and the leader is the favourite, and that is Might and Power. Crying Game is going up to second. Linesman is 3 out, but been hunted forward now. Marble Halls was over on the rails. Around him was the mare Sunny Lane, and then Court of Honour followed by Viali. Yobro was next on the inside. Around it was Sapio. A length further back than a Magnet Bay. They've got a circuit left to travel. Markham's about midfield on the rails. Always Aloof 3 deep on the outside of Arabian Story. Next on the inside was Grand Master. Bonsai Pipeline is 4 wide around Harbour Jews, Alpha, and Count Shivers on the rails. Then came Doremus. Alpha got a bit of a check there. Skybow is back to the rear of the field in between Ebony Grove, the fence, and Scrupulous out 3 wide. They've got 2,000 metres left to travel in the Cup now, and the leader is Might and Power. The favourite Might and Power by 2 lengths. Marble Halls racing with his mouth wide open on the inside. Crying Game goes around Linesman now. Crying Game gets to second. Linesman third. Fourth the inside Marble Halls. And then Court of Honour getting a nice run on the inside of Yobro. A length and a half further back than a Sunny Lane. Around the outside of Viali, and on the rails was Markham. Then Magnet Bay went off the fence. Around it was Sapio, and out there 4 wide was Bonsai Pipeline. Grand Master midfield on the rails. Then came Count Shivers. Wider out on the track there was Always Aloof. Arabian Story, the grey in the centre. A length further back in the field to Remus, and then came Viali. A length and a half further back to Ebony Grove. Harbour Jews was about 6th last, but 3 wide. Alpha's back to 3rd last from Skybow, and Scrupulous at the tail of the field. They've got 1,200 left to travel, and Might and Power is the leader. He's 3/4 of a length in front of Crying Game. 2 lengths away, third was Linesman. He's going up on the outside of Marble Halls. Just behind those was Court of Honour. Then came Viali, a length further back than a Harbour Jews. Over on the inside was Markham. Going forward, Yobro got to about 5th. Markham in between runners. Off the track was Sapio. Over on the inside, Grand Master as they start to bunch up behind the leaders. It's Might and Power now being tackled by Linesman. A length and a half away, Yobro on the outside of Marble Halls now being called on. Around the outside, Sunny Lane, Sapio, and further back, Arabian Story. Linesman, he's putting the pressure on the turn. It's Might and Power, the inside end. Linesman together as they straighten up in the Foster's Melbourne Cup of 1997. and Might and Power. He got away again, the fave. He's a length in front. Linesman won't lay down. Grandmaster runs on, and here's Doremus. Doremus with a run. Then came Markham and Sapio. Might and Power the leader. 250 to go. Doremus is after him. Might and Power led a length and a half to Doremus. Then Linesman. Might and Power the leader. Doremus is coming at him. Doremus after Might and Power. Might and Power and Doremus, they hit it. Oh, it's close. Doremus lunged. Doremus lunged on the outside. Can he have done it a second time? It's a photo in the Melbourne Cup. Doremus and Might and Power. Close up behind them, Linesman with Harbour Dews and Markham. Then Arabian Story, Skybow, Ebony Grove. Grandmaster, Sapio, Magnet Bay, Court of Honour, always aloof. Then Scrupulous, Viali, Marble Halls, Yo Bro, Sunny Lane, Bonsai Pipeline, Crying Game, Count Chivas and Alpha.
I don't know, Dan. I thought Might and Power might have just stuck.
And he's hung on. Might and Power's won it, number 3.
Yes. I thought he might have. Well, what a brilliant ride.
Number 3's wonderful. I think Greg Hall thought he'd won it because he raised his whip in salute. But in a bobbing go, it's Might and Power. Number 3 has won the Melbourne Cup. From 2 Doremus, Greg Hall. And third placing will go to number 16, Markham. 3, 2 and 16. What an absolute thriller.
Incredible.
Bob of the head. And it was Might and Power whose nose went down on the line. And he's won. And I dare say half a stride before and half a stride after it was Doremus. And I'm sure Greg Hall thought he'd won it.
Oh, definitely. But I just sort of thought, he's a big horse. Jimmy Cassidy cuddled his horse. And here he's really going for him. And Might and Power really responded. Here's Doremus. He's got up outside Linesman. And this is where it really got interesting. I thought, can Might and Power just hold on?
Here's Johnny Letts. He's got the 1997 Melbourne Cup winning jockey, Jim Cassidy.
Good luck there, Jimmy. What a great ride. You had a lovely running front, mate. We all doubted him at the distance.
Come in.
Do what he's done.
That's Jim Cassidy coming back to scale. The horse has won the Caulfield and Melbourne Cups. He kicked away on the turn there, Gary.
Oh, incredible. But when I came out of the barrier, Jimmy just concentrated to try and get him to settle. And he cuddled him all the way down past the winning post. And then along the back, I thought Crying Game was going to make it a bit hard for him. But he just let him give him a bit of rain. It was a beautiful front-running ride. And when he sort of straightened up, Linesman was the first to challenge him. He sort of shook him off, and then Doremus just came at him. And I agree with you. Greg Hall, I think, thought he'd got up, but I was watching it, and I just happened to glance, and I just thought Might and Power had stuck that big, long neck out. But
it was just too close, just the bob of the head. John Letts.
Yeah. Oh, fellas, you've never seen a more ecstatic jockey in your life than Jimmy Cassidy. Jimmy, what a great year it's been for the Caulfield Cup and now the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, it's fantastic. This horse is a champion. He is an out-and-out champion.
And Jimmy, like you were taken on from the half mile when Linesman went up there?
Yeah, they come up, they started roaring. I said, that wouldn't worry me.
And Sydney, you know, that's the first time that I've ever tried to interview a jockey. Greg Hall thought he won the race and then your number went up and you nearly jumped out the saddle.
Oh, look, I just waited for the number. What a great thrill, mate. What a horse. I love the horse.
Well,
you win this for Jack Denham is just unbelievable.
Jimmy, you've deserved it. You've been through a lot of hard times in the last couple of years, but this tops it all, mate, doesn't it? The big one.
The plan is, Letty, don't lay down, mate.
You never have you?
I went show jumping and they taught me one thing, go hard and go home.
Good luck, mate.
I'm going home by 50.
So, some great scenes in the mounting yard. Nick Moratis, the owner, has just rushed out, and I can tell you that most people down here probably thought that Doremus might have got up, but Might and Power has become the 10th horse to win the Caulfield and Melbourne Cup double. What a performance. I suppose there were reasons that we all look for to see why this horse couldn't win the Melbourne Cup, but he's proven that he could, and now he's proven that he is the best horse in Australia. Outstanding performance. His trainer, of course, Jack Denham, won't speak to the media. I've already checked that. There's no real point in going over and talking to Jack because he is going to keep his thoughts private as he walks through with good friend Vic Beitzel. Might and Power coming back to scale. What a great finish. That is one of the great finishes in Melbourne Cup history. He is a very private man, as I said, Jack Denham. He hasn't spoken to the media for a long time, and not even a victory in the greatest race of them all is going to make him change his mind. Jimmy Cassidy, what a story this is. His life was in turmoil just a couple of years ago. He's bounced back. He's won the Caulfield Cup. Now he's won the Melbourne Cup, just as he did 14 years ago when he came across as a young fellow from New Zealand and rode a horse called Kiwi. That day, he came from the back of the field. On this Melbourne Cup day of 1997, he was in front all the way. His horse just kept on finding. Greg Hall, the new dad, comes back, bows his head. So close. What a great 24 hours it would have been for Gregory Michael Hall, with the birth of a new daughter, and oh so close to another Melbourne Cup victory. Nick Moratis, the owner of Might and Power, is down in front of us at the moment, and we might see if we can get through this crush so that Nick can speak to the world. And here he is, chatting now.
Thanks, Jimmy Cassidy. Thanks, Jack Denham. Thanks, Alan Denham.
Is this better than selling potatoes?
Nick, tell me something. Were you worried when Crying Game took him on and then linesman?
Of course I was worried again, Simon, yeah. How can a horse, they all said he couldn't do it, didn't they?
Well, he was a sitting...
Every one of you said he couldn't do it, and he's done it. Terrific.
Nick, he just kept on finding over the last little bit. Is that the longest 3.5 minutes of your life?
You better believe it, he's a super horse.
What about when...
super horse, and you know what? He's good for racing. It's good for racing to have a horse like this again.
Nick, when they went past the line...
He's a champion.
When they went past the line, Nick, did you think you'd won?
No, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. My son's standing out first with one of Dad, and I wasn't sure. I thought we went down, but...
Can I just tell you, can I just say something? No one deserves it more than this man here. No one in the country. No one in the country. No one deserves it.
Emotional scenes being seen around the world here. Well, just at the moment, there's 500 million people watching this around the world. Your horse is the most famous racehorse in the world right now.
He's famous, but I tell you what, I still owe it to the people that work him. I owe it to Jack Denham, Alan Denham, and I owe it to Jimmy Cassidy. Nobody else but them.
Jack is a private man. He's keeping his thoughts to himself.
What, fellas? Let's be honest about all this. The proof of the pie is always eating. There's the results out there. The man, that's just to say a word. He says it all out there for you, and that's what's good for racing again.
I think you've summed it up
Anybody can come out here and say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and you'll look like an idiot in the end. The man says nothing. He's done it, and thank God for it. It's fantastic.
Nick Moratis, fantastic. Well done.
Thank you very much, Melbourne. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, fellas.
The owner of Might and Power, the winner of the Foster's Melbourne Cup of 1997. And there you can see the riders getting on the scales. 3 cheers going on down here. And Des Gleeson going through the important matter of trying to find the correct weight signal or otherwise. We might try and catch up with the winning rider, Jimmy Cassidy, in just a moment. Alan Denham, we'll have him in just a moment as well. We'll see if we can get in and have a chat to Jim Cassidy, because this truly is a remarkable story in racing. It is just amazing to think that this man has come back after all that he's been through. And we might see if we can get a word to Jim.
Correct weight.
Correct weight has been declared by Mr. Des Gleeson. Weight is right. And Jim Cassidy will be with us very shortly. I wonder what they were thinking, the connections of DeRemus. When they went past the post, Greg Hall waved his arm in the air, and Dan, I think he thought he had his second Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, I think he made everyone on track believe that he had too. It was a spine-tingling finish, and Might and Power's got the bob. $5.70 and $2.90 is what he will return for a $1 investment. 2 to Remus, $3.70, and third Markham at $8.90 for the place. The Quinella, $29.10 on the Cup. The Exacta, $46.40. The trifecta to come. The running double for 12 and 3 will pay $245.70. So a weight on the trifecta will be quite a reasonable dividend. 3, 2 and 16. Pete, 4th in was Harbour Dews, who ran a great race. 5th in was number 14 Linesman, who ran a bold race. And 6th in was Arabian Story.
Yeah, but the best run in the race, I suppose, well, there was an inch difference between the best run and the second best run. And Lee Friedman's here quickly. What are the emotions after that?
I'm pretty
down. I thought he'd got there. I thought he got there right on the line. But take nothing away from the winner. It was a magnificent. I think there were two great, outstanding horses for the finish out.
Did you think he'd won, Lee?
I thought he'd won. And when Greg sprang up after the line, he's usually pretty good in the finish. I thought he got there.
Hard luck.
Yeah, no worries. Okay.
Lee Freedman, the trainer of Doremus, beaten a lip in the Melbourne Cup. Here's Mark Aston with winning jockey Jimmy Cassidy.
Yes, thank you, Peter. Jim, how are you feeling now? What a wonderful moment and probably one of the greatest finishes in Melbourne Cup history.
Yeah, look, what a... first time in my life I've been speechless, to be honest. It's meant a lot. I've been very, very focused this last week, and thanks, Danny. To win this for myself, I've won a Melbourne Cup, but to win it for Jack Denham is it's better than icing on the cake. I don't know how to say it, but Jack's been... I don't get emotional, but I'm very emotional at the moment. It's for Jack's support since I've been back, and he's... thanks, Shane. Thanks, mate. For Jack's support since I've been back has, to me, been overwhelming, and he said to me, he said, look, stick with me. He said, we've got a lot to happen in the next, 12 months, 2 years, and just to win for Jack and Alan, and it's just marvellous. And my good mate, if you're watching, Malcolm Ayab, and his very, very personal friend that's always been there helping me through the tough times 2 years ago, and he was here this morning helping me have a rub here, and I love you. I know you're watching. I love you all.
Mate, Jack doesn't talk to the media, we know that, but what do you think he'd say now if he was speaking to everyone?
Look, I know Jack. It's going to be very emotional for him too. He's won Golden Slippers, he's won Derbies, he's won Oaks. And to win this Melbourne Cup is something that he's obviously lived for in his training. And for me to be able to do it for him, you don't know how happy a man I are. And I'm a bit speechless at the moment.
You'll celebrate for a couple of years by the sound of this.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Damien. This is what racing's all about. My manager was... Gavin Gleeson. We sat down prior to the Caulfield Carnival and we said, look, this is my carnival, we're going to make it a big one, because I was on the sideline for a couple of years, and I've never had the desire in my guts that I've had the last 12 months, the last 9 months. It's been marvellous. Congratulations, Jimmy, on behalf of everyone all around the world. Well done. Thank you, and thanks to Channel 10. Back to you, Pete. Jim Cassidy, a very happy boy, very emotional, the winner of the 1997 Foster's Melbourne Cup on Might and Power.
And well, he might be, Mark Aston, because it wasn't all that long ago that not only was his career in turmoil, but his life was in turmoil. Today, on the 4th of November 1997, Jimmy Cassidy is once again on the top of the mountain. We'll be back for the presentation of the Foster's Melbourne Cup after this break.
Behold a world of the total.
Catching our breaths now after what was an absolutely stunning 1997 Melbourne Cup. What a go that was. I tell you, you've seen a real champion. Jimmy Cassidy was sitting on his back, and he knows, there's our lightship taking that shot, that he was sitting on a champion in might and power. And there he is, wearing the Foster's Melbourne Cup rug. I'm really looking forward to this presentation. Here's Rob Gaylor.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Some emotional scenes, some wonderful scenes up here on the stage to begin our presentations for the 1997 Foster's Melbourne Cup. Would you please welcome the chairman of the VRC, Mr. David Burke, CBE.
Your Excellency, Sir William Dean, Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia and Lady Dean, Your Excellency, Sir James Gobbo, Governor of Victoria, Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Premier, my Lords, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I wish to congratulate the connections of the winner. It was another great race and well worthy of the traditions of the Foster's Melbourne Cup. I thank Foster's Brewing Group for your sponsorship of this great race. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the President and CEO of Foster's Brewing Group, Mr. Kunkel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and winners and losers. I guess once again we've been privileged to be the witnesses to another spectacular piece of Australian sporting history. In this country, and in a few others as well, the Foster's Melbourne Cup is the greatest gamble of them all. In this, the 13th year of our company's sponsorship, we're still very excited to be part of this historic race. This is a great national occasion, one that brings all of us together like no other sporting event, and it opens up a great facet, I think, of our national character to the watching world. What they see is a people full of spirit and hope, people who have a go, people who enjoy getting together and having fun, and that's regardless of any gambler's luck. To today's winner, Might and Power, he really has delivered a fitting spectacle for the race, which is recognised as the world's greatest all-age stayers handicap. My warmest congratulations and that of my company to the owner, Nick Moratis, to the trainer, Jack Denham, and to the jockey, Jim Cassidy, and to all those who didn't win or get a place, because without them and their commitment to this great sport of kings and battlers, there wouldn't be a race. I like that great unique gambling philosophy which espouses that the greatest pleasure in life is to win, but the second greatest pleasure is to lose. And in that spirit, we'll remember this. It is now my great honour and privilege to invite the Governor-General of Australia, Sir William Deane, to present the 1997 Foster's Melbourne Cup. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Your Excellency, Prime Minister, Premier, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Whatever wins the Melbourne Cup instantly becomes special. It's better, though, when what wins it is a champion or a coming champion. Our winner today comes into that category. Today it's become the 10th horse to win the Caulfield Melbourne Cup double, and it joins champions such as Poseidon, the Trump, the great mare Rivette, Even Stevens, Galilee, and of course that other great champion Doriemus, which was so magnificent in defeat today. Today was a special Melbourne Cup for another reason. For the first time, Her Majesty the Queen had a runner, and he performed very, very well, finishing 6th, if my counting's right. Her Majesty has asked me to say that whatever the result, it's been a great thrill to have a starter in this great race, and she's also asked me to pass on her personal congratulations to the connections of Might and Power. This I do. Finally, on behalf, I'm sure, of everyone at this magnificent course and all the millions watching on television or listening on radio, I offer our warmest congratulations to the connections, to the owner, Mr. Moraltis, to the trainer, Jack Denham, whom I'm pleased to see has joined us with his son Alan, to the jockey, Jim Cassidy, and to the strapper, Martin Steen. And now, with very great pleasure, I propose to present the Melbourne Cup to the owner of a great horse.
Sir William Deane, Honourable Prime Minister, Mr Burke, Chairman, members of the committee, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I feel very, very proud being here this afternoon. I can't tell you how proud. I owe it to 3 people and a racehorse. I owe it to Jack Denham, his son Alan, and my jockey Jim Cassidy, and to the beautiful Might and Power. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
I would ask
Governor General, to please present the trophy. And while Jack Denham has probably not one to come forward and speak too freely to the meeting, we respect his wishes, but representing him today is his son, Alan Denham.
Yeah, sure. Mr. President, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, there's not much more I can add to what Nick said. It's been a great training performance, a great ride and a great horse, and I'd also like to thank all the staff at home. They all can't come away, and Brett Grant, the track rider. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alan. Congratulations, Jack, too, on a job well done. And the man who steered the horse to victory, ladies and gentlemen, about to receive the trophy here from Mr. Kunkel, Jimmy Cassidy.
Mr. Chairman, Governor, members of the VRC, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's not normally that I'm stunned for words, but today I really are at this moment. To be standing here at Melbourne Cup Day, to be part of the atmosphere, to be part of the race is something very special. But to come out and win the Melbourne Cup, which to me is the greatest race in the land, is just so special. All my thanks, and I'll say it again, all my thanks go to two wonderful people, Jack Denham and his wife, Alan Denham and his wife, the stable staff at Denham Stable. A special thanks to all the boys back home, to Marty, to Brett Grant, which has been well publicised by myself and Alan, that to win any race is a team effort. But without Brett and Alan and Jack, these things can't happen. It's a very, very great time to win the Cup. A few people I'd really like to thank. My wife, Helen. She's been very supportive over a number of years that we've been together. My manager, Gavin Gleeson. My great mate who was here today and left to fly back to Perth at 3 o'clock this afternoon, 12:20 this morning. Malcolm Abe, he was here this morning with me, rubbing me in the sauna, and it's always a team effort. To my darling daughters at home, I know you're watching. I love you. Daddy will be home soon. To all the Melbourne public, keep coming. I love you. You're great people, and I love winning the Melbourne Cup.
Good on you, Jimmy. That's one of the best speeches I've heard. The quiet dignity of Nick Moratis as well. And Myton Power, did you see his face? Deep in his equine heart, he knows he's done something very, very special today. The Melbourne Cup of 1997. What a beauty it was. We'll take a break. We weren't before, we really are having some fun now. You know, this morning our producer said to us there was 1 billion viewers watching us from around the world. He may have been exaggerating just a touch, but wherever you may have been watching us from, you've seen one of the truly magnificent Melbourne Cups. We hope you've enjoyed it. You're hard to please if you didn't, so goodbye to all of you right around the world, and we hope to see you again for the next Melbourne Cup in 1998. And thank you very much for joining us. Okay, would you like to see it all again? I think we should. Let's go from barriers open.
All set to go, the 1997 Foster's Melbourne Cup. And they're ready for a start now. Away they go. The gates have crashed back and the big one is underway. Ebony Grove immediately snagged back to the tail of the field with Count Shivers. Myton Power, one of the best to jump away with Marble Halls. Magnet Bay, Crying Game was up there in the early part. Likewise, Court of Honour. A little further out to Viali, and also Sunny Lane's going forward early. Linesman's a bit wide about midfield at the moment, but it is going forward in the race. Always Aloof was midfield. Wider out then was Sapio. Scrupulous getting back with Skybow along the inside of Doremus, and Ebony Grove is 2 lengths away at the tail as they come down the straight the first time, and the leader is the favourite, and that is Might and Power. Crying Game is going up to second. Linesman is 3 out, but been hunted forward now. Marble Halls was over on the rails. Around him was the mare Sunny Lane, and then Court of Honour followed by Viali. Yobro was next on the inside. Around it was Sapio. A length further back than a Magnet Bay. They've got a circuit left to travel. Markham's about midfield on the rails. Always Aloof 3 deep on the outside of Arabian Story. Next on the inside was Grand Master. Bonsai Pipeline is 4 wide around Harbour Dews, Alpha, and Count Shivers on the rails. Then came Doremus. Alpha got a bit of a check there. Skybow is back to the rear of the field in between Ebony Grove, the fence, and Scrupulous out 3 wide. They've got 2,000 metres left to travel in the Cup now, and the leader is Might and Power. The favourite Might and Power by 2 lengths. Marble Hall's racing with his mouth wide open on the inside. Crying Game goes around Linesman now. Crying Game gets to second. Linesman third. Fourth the inside Marble Halls. And then Court of Honour getting a nice run on the inside of Yobro. A length and a half further back than a Sunny Lane around the outside of Viali, and on the rails was Markham. Then Magnet Bay went off the fence. Around it was Sapio, and out there 4 wide was Bonsai Pipeline. Grand Master midfield on the rails. Then came Count Shivers. Wider out on the track there was Always Aloof. Arabian Story, the grey in the centre. A length further back in the field to Doremus, and then came Viali. A length and a half further back to Ebony Grove. Harbour Dews was about 6th last, but 3 wide. Alpha's back to 3rd last from Skybow, and Scrupulous at the tail of the field. They've got 1,200 left to travel, and Might and Power is the leader. He's 3/4 of a length in front of Crying Game. 2 lengths away, third was Linesman. He's going up on the outside of Marble Halls. Just behind those was Court of Honour. Then came Viali, a length further back than a Harbour Dews. Over on the inside was Markham. Going forward, Yobro got to about 5th. Markham in between runners. Off the track was Sapio. Over on the inside, Grand Master as they start to bunch up behind the leaders. It's Might and Power now being tackled by Linesman. A length and a half away, Yobro on the outside of Marble Halls now being called on. Around the outside, Sunny Lane, Sapio, and further back, Arabian Story. Linesman, he's putting the pressure on the turn. It's Might and Power, the inside end. Linesman together as they straighten up in the Foster's Melbourne Cup of 1997. And Might and Power, he got away again, the fave. He's a length in front. Linesman won't lay down. Grand Master runs on, and here's Doremus. Doremus with a run. Then came Markham and Sapio. Might and Power, the leader. 250 to go. Doremus is after him. Might and Power led a length and a half to Doremus. Then Linesman. Might and Power, the leader. Doremus is coming at him. Doremus after Might and Power. Might and Power and Doremus, they hit it. Oh, it's close. Doremus lunged. Doremus lunged on the outside. Can he have done it a second time? It's a photo in the Melbourne Cup. Doremus and Might and Power.
It was a photo. Greg Hall thought he'd won it. Might and Power. $5.70, $2.90. These are only statistics. Doremus, $3.70. Markham, $8.90. There's the Quinella there too. No trifecta just yet. You've seen a magnificent Melbourne Cup, my friends. We'll come and talk about it some more on the other side of this break.
Tuesday, November 3rd, 1896. For the first time in history, the Melbourne Cup appears on moving pictures. It is now recognised as the oldest known surviving piece of Australian film. It captured Newhaven, galloping to an historic win. Over a century later, enjoy the race that stops a nation with a beer brewed as then from only the finest malt and hops. Foster's Lager, proud to bring you the 1997 Foster's Melbourne Cup.
Something is happening to the people of Sydney.
Well, it's all over so quickly and lives in the memory for a very long time. Might and Power has actually just gone past us and still full of himself. The big stallion really knows he's done something very special here today. And Jimmy Cassidy, well, that wonderful line, we always get one in a Melbourne Cup, go hard and go home. Well, Jimmy will go home very happy today. And Peter Donegan, as I come down to you, you know, you come to the races to see what we've just seen, and did you notice, you probably in the binoculars saw just the best in the business. G. Hall, Jimmy, Mick Dittman, and Jimmy's brother just showing all of their skill down that final few hundred metres. What a great race.
Tim, I think that's one of the most remarkable Melbourne Cup finishes I've ever seen, and that will live long in my memory. Those two great horses, and as Tim said, two great riders. Greg Hall's reaction, for about a minute or so, he must have been on top of the world, Jen, and then all of a sudden his world came crashing down.
Oh, did it ever. He'd feel so deflated, Greg, and hopefully we can get a chat with Greg after this next race, but I'm sure Kim will be very sad too. She's in hospital watching the race, and it did look like for a stride there that he had won, but hey, you can't take anything away from that winner. What tenacity he showed.
Indeed, and congratulations to Jimmy Cassidy too. Well, they're on their way to the last. Well, I held that before the Melbourne Cup. The bloke beside me has got hold of it, and he doesn't have to let it go, because Nick Moratis, that is now yours. Congratulations to both you and Alan Denham.
Thank you very much, Peter.
Has it sunk in?
You know, I'm still on cloud 9. I think it'll take a while. It's just hard to explain how you feel. You just don't, but you feel like it's a fairy tale. You don't really feel that it's happened, but it's real, and I thank God for it.
Alan, in your heart of hearts, all the experts kept finding reasons why he couldn't win the Melbourne Cup. Did you go in supremely confident today?
Well, we're never supremely confident, but when he went past the first time, although he was leading, he was relaxed, you know. Problem I thought during the run was when Crying Game come up and, you know, give him a bit of stick, but that's the way Crying Games races. Then Linesman had a go at him, but once again, you know, Linesman's a good tough horse, so they're not out there for might and power's sake, they're out for their own. But it was a great effort to lead all the way. I think the last horse to do it was Lord Fury.
Lord Fury, yes it was. Just one last point, what did Dad have to say?
Oh, not much as usual, but he keeps it inside, and, you know, his horses do the talking for him.
I'm not going to hold you guys up as we watch them go to the line there, Doremus and Might and Power, in one of the epic Melbourne Cup finishes, because you've got a bit of celebrating to do. Congratulations, both Nick and Alan, once again.
Thank you very much,
Thanks
Peter.
very much, Peter.
Nick Moratis and Alan Denham. Let's go. And also to talk to the man who for a minute earlier today thought he'd won the Melbourne Cup, Greg Hall. Coming up after this. Beside me, and also Janelle Freedman, and they're just discussing the Melbourne Cup, how close it was. And Greg's going to come over in a minute and just have a bit of a chat. He just said to Michael Freedman, I'm sorry. Michael Freedman said, you got nothing to be sorry for, pal. You did your job. And it was only a matter of inches in the race. And that's something we'll talk to Greg Hall about in just a moment. They're on their way to the stalls. In fact, they've arrived at the gates for the last. We do not expect the Melbourne Cup trifecta to be notified before about 5 o'clock this afternoon. So problems with the trifectas at the TAB. As I said, the singing syrup is starting to take effect. But one man who's on the water at the moment, he could have been swapping it for champagne, is Greg Hall. And how do you feel, mate? Is it devastation? Are you philosophical? What's it feel like?
Yeah, look, I see John Elliott's got a lot of fans there, Pete. Oh, mate, it's just... I mean, I have to admit, I am devastated. You know, I'm not usually that confident about photo finishes, and I actually thought I'd won it, and that's why I give a victory salute. And I mean, I just can't fathom it. You know, I mean, Jimmy Cassidy says he didn't know on that, but the look on Jimmy's face was that he'd got beaten. John Letts had confirmed with me that he's got a direct line to the broadcaster's box that I'd won it, and then when I turned the horse back, he said, "No, your number never went up." I mean, it's just, I hear it. I just can't believe it.
Yeah, well, as you say, you don't often salute after the line, and they are getting set pretty quickly here. We really do appreciate you joining us. I know you want to say hello to Kimmy very quickly. They're set to go.
Hello, baby. Hello, Cassie.
Good on you, Greg Hall. Here's Dan for the last.
Let's just go back earlier in the day before we talk about the Cup. Bazile Bay's a racehorse.
He is.
Is he ever?
Yeah.
7 starts now for 5 wins in a couple of seconds, and he's a magnificent looking horse too.
Isn't he?
Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic. Got a beautiful head on him, and he knows what it's all about.
He sure does, and can run.
Well, he had to make him go out of the barrier. He over-raced up to about the 800. Most horses will be calling for the petrol tickets at about the 400-metre mark, and when he asked him to go, he went.
And they got nowhere near him.
Yeah, he's a good horse.
Yeah, good horse. All right, I mean, I could tell you were excited, and I could tell you were too. We've seen a genuine champion. A genuine champion in Might and Power. He came past me here all full of himself with his head throwing in the air. He's great.
Oh, he's fantastic, Tim, no doubt about that. For a horse to do what he did, he got tackled as well throughout the race and lead all the way and hold on. And Doremus is no slouch either, don't worry about that.
Great.
It was a terrific win.
Yeah. Just one of the best Melbourne Cup finishes, wasn't it?
First one to lead all the way, as we said, since Lord Fury back in the 60s.
61, I think, Lord Fury.
Yeah, an incredible performance. And here they are turning for home. And Might and Power, as you said, Jen, had been taken on. Linesman, I thought, was a gallant run. That's him in the white cap on the outside. And looking for Doremus, he's the one with the white face just looming up into third position on the outside. And at the 300, it had the hallmarks of a fantastic finish.
Sure did. In fact, what about the overseas horses? The Grey, Arabian Story, and Harbour Dew's just inside him. He runs on quite well, Harbour Dew's. It wasn't a bad effort from him. But look at this champion in front, Might and Power.
Big moment for Cliff Brown too, the 28-year-old trainer. That's his horse Markham, looming up into fourth position and running on pretty well. Now at the 200, they came past us, and I thought Doremus was going to get to Might and Power.
Yes, in fact, we watched it together, Pete, and you said, yes, he's got there, and we all didn't know. In fact, it looked like he had, and then all the journalists around us were saying, yes, he did, and no, he didn't.
As I said to you, Pete, look at G. Hall, who's throwing the kitchen sink, the cupboards, the wardrobe, and the pans at Doremus. He's throwing everything at him. It's just brilliant riding. Look at these jockeys, just throwing everything at those horses.
And it was really, in the end, just the bob of the head.
Yeah.
Greg just told me that he did say to Lee, look, I'm sorry about that, and Lee said, your ride was 10 out of 10. You can't ride a better race in the Melbourne Cup than that. I don't want to take anything away from Might and Power. A lot of the attention will go on to Doremus simply because Jack is silent Jack.
Yes, and continued to be today. Did you expect any less?
No, look,
I didn't think you did.
To be honest, as we get the Whitman's correct weight signal on the last event on the program, I would...
we'll just wait and see.
There's the Melbourne Cup dividends, by the way, and the bookies took a bath and a half, didn't they?
One little thing, I don't think he will go to stud because I think the vets have already got to him, but he'll be a happy horse.
Right. Okay. There is that trifecta, by the way, $1,246.30. Might and Power $5.70 and $2.90. Doremus $3.70. Markham at $8.90. There's your final dividends on the Melbourne Cup. And let's quickly check into the 10 marquee with Sandra Sully, who I'm sure has had a simply beautiful afternoon down there in the sun.
Yes, Tim, we have. Lynn and I have had a terrific day. We've met lots of amazing people, and they've been singing the praises of the Melbourne Cup. Our international guests, Brooke Langdon and David Chokachi from Baywatch and Melrose, were overwhelmed by what a magnificent day it is. So it's great to see and great to know that our international stars are leaving our shores fairly soon, but they'll be singing the praises of beautiful Melbourne.
Thank you, Sandra. Tim Gossage in the betting ring. How are the bookies? Were they reaching for the pacemakers?
They were gone after the Melbourne Cup, Tim. I mean, Might and Power has simply cleaned them out, as I've said. They're just reeling. The last two races, they were almost numb. Might and Power. They're talking, now this is unofficial, they're talking that one punter, big name as he is, might have cleaned up to the tune of $5 million on the winner.
Wow. Okay, Timmy Bailey, where are you?
Well, it wasn't me, Timmy. I'm down here with the mob. 94,000 people here. I was privileged to be one of them at Famous Flemington today. I was out with the mob, with the colourful characters. It was a fantastic day. We managed to back a winner. I'm going horse. It was the best cup I think I've ever seen, am ever likely to see. A terrific day. I hope we captured the spirit and the colour and the true tradition of it for you. I've had a good one, Timmy.
As you always do, Timothy, thank you very much. Just quickly, Peter Donegan, for a race that was supposed to be a bit lacklustre, it's one of the best days I've seen, and you've been coming a lot longer than me.
One of the most stirring finishes in a Melbourne Cup. They said it lacked class. I don't think it lacked class. We saw two class...